guys, Heather here from Perfectly Imperfect Perfection. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me. So as you know from some of my other videos, I kind of live on a budget. And well, I like a budget because it just keeps me within certain parameters. I can't just go crazy and I hardly regret what I spend on. So I needed a little bit of retail therapy last week after dealing with my washer breaking and not having one. And so I decided to go to the thrift store. While I was there, I was excited and I got really lucky and I was able to get 14 children's books for $2. $2, that's it. And so I just wanted to show you the books I got, and I also wanted to take a minute to talk about 5 things, 5 tips to help encourage and motivate the young readers in your home. Reading is really important. And I'm a book lover, so I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to this stuff, and so I just wanted to share this with you. So first, let's go with the 5 tips. Number 1, I wanted to say there's no rush. The average age for development to learn how to read is about 6 or 7. So that's developmentally the average age, 6 or 7. Some kids are before that, and some kids are after. What I'm trying to say is, there is no real need or scientific evidence that shows that there's any benefit to trying to push a child to learn to read before they're ready. Actually, in Finland, they refuse to teach children to read before the age of 7, and they have the highest reading scores in like the world. So there's just no rush. Take some of the pressure off. Number 2. Read aloud to your children about 10 to 20 minutes a day. This is an incredible opportunity for you to show your children a love for reading and make it a positive experience. Reading is the heart of education. So, you can read anything. Just read. The more words they hear, the larger their vocabulary, the better their understanding is, and the more knowledge they will gain. It also will help with their writing skills and help increase their listening skills. Who doesn't want their kids to listen better? Number 3, make it a positive experience. We approach what causes pleasure and we withdraw from what causes pain. So if reading is a positive experience, we'll be more drawn to it. But if it's painful, I'm just not going to want to do it, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So let your child pick out books. Also, it's important to own books. They say that it's good if a child has something that they can just write their name in that is theirs, that they don't have to return to the library. So if you don't have any books or you want to increase your library, take the children with you to the thrift store. Let them pick out books or go to a bookstore. So many options. Let them sit in your lap. And if you have multiple children, just get cozy. We love to read in our book area. My kids all, one of them sits on my lap, one on either side, and we're just snugged in and we're reading. Use voices. Who cares what you sound like? The kids are just going to enjoy it. So get into it a little bit. Act silly. And number 4, ask questions. It's another way to make it a positive experience. Engage with them. Let them know you care what they think. Make sure they're processing the story right, and gives you a good chance to interact and engage in conversation. Number 4, read in front of them. Let them see you read, right? Lead by example. If they see that mommy or daddy just enjoys reading, then they're more likely to copy us. I mean, how many times do they copy us? So let them see you read. Also, you can also implement a silent reading time where you say to your children, okay, let's all get a book that we love and let's all sit down quietly for 10 minutes and let's just read. And number 5, it's never too early and it's never too late to start reading aloud to your kids. There's lots of scientific evidence that shows that reading while in the womb helps children to understand and process their native language before they're even born, that they recognize the mother's voice, which I have seen firsthand. I've seen my children recognize their father's voices, my mother's voice. So it's never too early to start. And number 2, it's never too late to start reading. I think sometimes as kids get older, and sorry if you hear banging in the background, it's the kids. And I think sometimes as kids get older, we think we don't have to read to them anymore. They're expert readers. But the perk to reading to your older children is children and people are able to listen above their reading level, right? Like a first grader can listen to a fourth grade book and enjoy it and understand the concept. A fourth grader can understand a seventh grade book, and so on and so forth. So as our children get older, we don't want to read less to them. We really want to keep reading to them because we want to keep sharpening their listening skills. I mean, again, listening is really important, right? So it's never too early, and it's definitely never too late to read to your children. Never. So, you know, all in all, reading can be a lot of fun. It can be a good experience, and it's a great way to spend quality time with your children. And it's so important. I mean, I know college and everything is basically based on your ability to read and process the information. So let's get into those books I got. 14 books for $2. First book I got at the thrift store is Popcorn. I remember this book as a child. Basically, he has a Halloween party. He makes too much popcorn. Popcorn gets all over the place, and they have to solve the issue. What I love is, I'm not sure how much this book would cost, but I probably spent a nickel on it. And one thing I love about thrift stores is you're going to get books you might not see in your regular store. You might get books by local authors or that have a local topic. So the other day I actually got real lucky and I found 2 books about manatees. One is called Sam the Sea Cow, and the other one I got is called The Manatee That Flew. And this one says it is based on a true story of a Florida manatee. It says it's about an adventurous young manatee named Manford, and though his story is fiction, it is based on true facts and events recorded in the files of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So, you know, I looked at it before I bought it, and the pictures were very colorful. Lots of information. This is a long story, so this is going to be for older kids, which is good because a lot of children's books can be geared towards younger children, and then you get to like Tripp's age, and they still, you know, they don't always want a chapter book. They want a book that you can read to them and that you can start and finish. So what else did I get? I got Smelly Socks by the author of Love You Forever. I've never read this, so it should be cute and fun. Who doesn't have smelly socks? Clifford's First Halloween. I just love adding to any collections we have May started, and we love Clifford. Berenstain Bears Week at Grandma's. We love Berenstain Bears. I even have some from when I was a kid, so I love adding to this collection. I saw this sweet book called Waiting for Spring Stories, and the pictures are what grabbed me in this one. Not that they're anything super special, but they're just very classic looking, and I love that classic look. And talked about the dark forest, and I'm not sure, but they're cute little rabbits, and they seem sweet. So we'll give it a try. Again, for like a nickel. How can you go wrong? Got an Usborne book on tractors. I love Usborne. If you've never heard of them, they're great. They have tons and tons of books. It's hard to choose, but this I got for Reed, a little board book about tractors, vroom vroom, right? He loves things that go. And not sure. I was trying to look to see if there's a price on it to see what that would originally have gone for. But anyway, this one right here is called Viking Times, Growing Up in Viking Times. I mean, how cool is that? I never saw a book like this. We're not learning about Vikings yet, but when we get there, we've got some information on it. It talks about the clothing they wore and the food they ate and their religious practices, their education and learning. So that will be an awesome book to dive into. Got this one called Cadillac. It's about a grandmother and her Cadillac. Tripp loves cars, and so does Reed, and I figured everyone would just enjoy this sweet little story about Granny drops in reverse and the Cadillac rocks and it roars and rumbles like a pent-up lion. So I'm sure that would be fun. Another Usborne book, Going to the Doctor. I have Going to the Dentist, so this is just neat. It kind of explains what a child would expect in his visit to the doctors, and so they're not so scared when they start realizing what happens. If you give a pig a pancake, yes, these books are great. Of course, we have if you give a moose a muffin, if you give a mouse a cookie. I think we have another one, so it's always good to keep adding to that collection. A book on truckers, The Trucker. Wesley turned off the highway and looked up at the darkening clouds. The storm was so close he could smell it. The pictures were pretty, and my father is a truck driver, so I wanted to buy this so that the kids could get a peek inside of what he does for a living. And the last book I got, which is really cool, it's called Following the Drinking Board, and this is about the Underground Railroad. So I am so excited to get into this. This was one of my favorite things to learn about growing up in elementary school. I just thought it was so neat how people pulled together and helped save people that really had no other way to go. So I'm excited to get into this, and that was my last one. So as you can see, those are like 14 good quality books that I spent $2 on. If you are looking to add to your library, head to your local thrift store and, you know, sift through some things you might not like, but sift through and just take a chance. I mean, really, you can't go wrong. So I hope I've encouraged you to sit down and read with your kids, and I hope we can motivate some readers, and I hope you guys have a great and blessed day. If you have any tips that you want to share with me, I would love to hear them. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe below. This channel is just all about me sharing my imperfections. As you hear, my children are screaming, and you know, it's just life, and I just want to share what I overcome, just, you know, what goes on in my life, and just to help encourage people that life doesn't have to be perfect for us to make the best of it, and that at the end of the day, it probably actually is more perfect than we really think. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.